fish. Nice to so that's basically the system. It's designed, the basic design is 1800s boiler systems. They were created with overflows. This overflow is a very, very old concept. One that the engineers have been using for 150 years. We got it from Henry Hall. Father Fish here. Been trying to decide what to do for my next video, and I've decided what I really need to do in terms of basics is show you my fish room plumbing system. Now this is a bank of 18 15-gallon tanks, and they all run on one pump. The pump is in back in a vat, and I'll show you that in a bit. But for now, the idea is we have delivery like so, flowing into every tank, and then we have overflows flowing back out down into the vat. Each level of the 3 levels has an overflow, and this is the overflow. The water comes down here and up here to this T. The water level in the tank rises to the level of the bottom of the T, where it spills over and falls down, and then goes all the way down into the vat, which we're going to get to. Now, see the pipe going up? That pipe is going all the way up to the top row, where there's similarly an overflow. The water comes out a siphon, siphons down this U-tube, and then up to the level of the bottom of the T, and drops down. You saw where it drops to. I'm going to explain the valves a little later. We have valves on each one. Here's the middle one. The middle one is an overflow, a siphon overflow that runs down and then comes up to the bottom of the T. You can see water down in there, maybe. Overflows and drops down to the pipe going into the sump. Now, while I'm here, let's walk over to the sump and show you how that works. Going around, this is our holding vat, and here is the sump. The sump has 6 inches of sand, and it has a filter bag. So the water is coming from the tanks through that overflow pipe, dropping into the filter bag, and then into here. And if you look in here, you'll see a pump. There's the pump. We've got some fish in here as well. There's a pair of Maltburger severums in here. They've had a couple of populations of fish. This is a heater in that pipe. Okay, so that's about a 125 vat. Now there's a little siphon here, and this siphon goes over to another vat that has turtles in it, and the same kind of system, except this has an external pump that pumps water back up to our African system. And you can see the flow coming back. It's pretty good flow coming out of about 20 acrylic system vat tanks. Show you those later, maybe. And we keep some turtles in here as well as a few fish. All right, so let's go back to the tanks and give you a little more in-depth. There's our third vat, and this third vat serves a pyramid of tanks, 20s on the top, 29s on the bottom. On the other side are 55s and 20s, and that's all flowing into the third vat and being pumped back up. Okay, so back to this three-tier system. So we adjust the water height in here based on where this overflow is and the volume of water going in. You can see going down, there's pretty good volume. So there's more water going in than is able to flow out at the same rate. If I cut all of those off, the water level would drop to here, about 2 inches down. So with that amount of flow, and we could actually have more, and it would raise it up even a little higher. We have on the bottom of each of these intakes a red strainer. And the reason we do that is to keep fish out of the pipes, because a lot of fish like to go up into the pipes. And it also keeps them from clogging up. Now occasionally we'll get a mud buildup. When that happens, we go all the way over to the vat, hook up a wet vac, and suck it all out. And that pulls all the mud out. We do that about once every 3 or 4 months, 2 or 3 times a year. So the flow is adjusted. We can cut it down to 0 or crank it up pretty high. And each of these has a separate flow. Now, what this means is, if we want to take a tank off the system, all we have to do is cut the water off and the water stops flowing through. If we want the water level to be lower, then we simply put a cap on the end of the PVC, and that allows us to empty the tank, service it. If it's leaking or broken, we can pull it out and replace it with a new one without the whole system going down. This is the intake. And you can see it's just a plumbed 3/4 inch pipe with valves that control flow to each and every tank. So that's basically the system. It's designed, the basic design is 1800s boiler systems. They were created with overflows. This overflow is a very, very old concept, one that the engineers have been using for 150 years. We got it from Henry Hall. So this is a system that works extremely well in a fish room. The only caveat is you do occasionally wind up with water on the floor, because a tank, an intake will get clogged up, water will keep going in, it'll overflow, and you wind up with water on the floor. The way to avoid that, of course, is to only do this kind of a system on a concrete floor and keep pretty good tabs on it. We have an incident maybe 2 or 3 times a year where something will overflow and we'll have to mop up water. But as you can see, we have a concrete floor in here, so it's not a terrible issue. Well, that's the basic idea. If you got any questions, post them at the bottom. I'll be happy to talk anybody through this who wants to try to set something up that will allow no water changes, continuous water flow, common temperature, and just everything else to make life easy. The only real caveat that people seem to have about this kind of system is a concern about disease. If you spot something, you just shut the valve off, and that isolates that tank from the rest of the system. I never treat the whole system. In the 15 years I've had this set up, I've never needed to treat the whole system. So there you have it. If you want to do it, contact me. I'll walk you through it, teach you the little tricks. I've covered most of them. I'm sure I've left a few out. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you're interested. Bye for now. Father Fish here. Thanks for plugging in and watching and being a part of this channel and this series of videos. You found something you've never seen before. Have a great day. Nice having you with us. Come on back.